I'm a psychiatrist, and during my training I worked for 6 months on a ward treating patients with depressive and anxiety disorders. It was an old building that had housed psychiatric patients since the mid-1920s. On our floor we had 13 beds, a nurse's station, a sitting room, and some conference rooms. One day I was interviewing a patient, and when I asked about sleep patterns, she told me she'd been hearing a baby crying at night, and it woke her up. There were no children in that hospital. It was located far from residential areas and visiting hours were restricted. After that, the nurse spoke to me and said the baby crying was not a psychotic symptom. She was very serious about it but didn't give me any more details. I shrugged. Either way, it didn't change the diagnosis or treatment. About 3 months into my stay, I was sitting at the nurse's station and 3 of them were behind me talking. I heard one of them say, "It's very active today," and another replied, "Really?" "Oh no, I hadn't noticed." I turned around and asked who they were talking about. They looked at each other and then one of them, hesitantly, said, "Well, there's a baby here that sometimes cries." Of course I said no, but they just smiled. A few minutes later I heard it myself. It sounded very far away but not too far. It was crying, clearly a baby's cry. It sounded like it was separated from me by maybe 2 or 3 walls. I was perplexed and looked at the nurses. They looked at me with a "told you so" expression. Of course I asked about it, but they couldn't tell me much, only that crying had always been there. Since then I heard it maybe 2 or 3 times a week. I told a new doctor and she laughed. A week into her placement she came to me pale and said she heard it on her break. I no longer work there, I've been transferred. But I think about it sometimes, and I really don't know what that crying thing is.